Hey there, Joseph from Addmi here, and now we're going to be going through the initial steps to be taken when we have access to this Addmi dashboard. Now, just a surface level explanation of what this dashboard is. It's essentially the hub, the main place that we're going for either menu creation, menu adjustment, adjusting events if we're doing ticketing, and more importantly, the business itself. Now, this first page we land on is really just a glimpse into the business. If we're already doing ongoing business and sales, it's going to show that type of information here. But if this is a brand new account, obviously the first thing that will be shown here is this setup guide. Now, the setup guide will take you into different areas of this dashboard, such as your business settings and your store settings. Now, some of these are things that we'd want to accomplish earlier rather than later, especially if we're on a time crunch or if we're looking to take payments quickly. Now, that's the first thing I'll jump into is connecting a payment processor. We are working with Square and Stripe currently, and we're soon to release a gateway that really opens the door for many other processors and the MagTech terminal itself to be used. Now, if we don't already have a Square or Stripe account, we can click on this sign up link down at the bottom, and this will get us to that Square sign up page. Now, if we do have an account, we're going to do the same thing, but instead, we're just going to log in with those credentials that we already have created. I'm going to go back to our homepage and just show you some of these other things that we may want to get accomplished early on. And those would be more specific to our store settings. Now, at any point, if we wanted to circle back to this and accomplish this later down the line, we can do so. And just for your information, where this dropped me into was underneath store settings. You can see it's going to give me options to change my business hours, allow tipping, set up discounts, put in my taxes, and even start the e-gift card process. Now, starting the e-gift cards is also going to start our physical gift cards. So if that's something that you're looking to have as an option for customers, go ahead and get it started. Now, we've gone through this initial sign up wizard. Feel free to come through and create your business hours. Your business hours, you can really set them up in two places. We saw that we have our store settings here. We have those options to set up our business hours there, but also underneath our settings. Now, underneath settings, specifically in the business profile, is where you're adding a little bit more of a personality, visual content for your customers to see when they're either visiting your online site or you in person at the point of sale. Some of these could be your logo, your page banner. You can see business hours. And some of this information we entered in during the initial account creation, such as the business name, our phone number, category. And like I said during that video, we can change any of this information as we go through the account and at any point when we are using Addmi. If we don't have a physical address, we could turn that on or off, or at some point, if we open up a brick and mortar, converting our food truck into a real establishment, we can come in and put the address. But some of the things are pertaining to our online store that we create for you, such as those branding colors. Now, these branding colors by default will take in the Addmi colors of blue and orange, but you can really come in here and pick and choose what colors are shown here. Now, until we have some items in our online store or some events created, it really doesn't change anything. The store is going to be pretty bland as of right now. Only thing it would show in there is our, locations. But until we have our store, until we have our events turned on and displayed, published, those aren't going to be visible. Now, down at the bottom, we can link our own domains, our own social medias to this account so that when a customer is seeing the online store, they can quickly look up your social media platforms as well. Now, that's the specific things that we'd want to get done with the account creation. Now, let's jump more so into our menu. Now, if we are a restaurant, if we expect to have a menu, The store menu is where we're going to go to create those offerings. Now, as you're seeing on our screen here, and maybe I can zoom in just a bit for us, we do have a bit of a diagram showing you the best methods when creating and structuring your menu. First of which is going to be your categories. Now, categories, of course, are going to be those main ways for us to organize the menu and really structure it in a way that's going to be most efficient for our employees to ring things up. And underneath our categories, we have our items. Our items could be assigned to different categories. We can have even modifiers underneath that really specify different ways to charge a customer, even be more specific so that when it gets sent to the back of house or to the kitchen, that staff know exactly what needs to be prepared for this order. Now I'm going to zoom out here. Up at the top, you have these three options to jump into items, our categories. And similar to what we saw on two other pages, we have another little bit of a diagram or a flow chart showing us different ways that we can structure our menu. And last but not least is our modifiers. Now, modifiers, they can be really customizable. We can set up a lot of different features to change the purchasing experience. And of course, we'll go through that a little bit later through this demo here. Now, first and foremost, we're going to go through an example of maybe an ice cream shop that has some bakery items and what we'd want to do to get this started. Now, first things first, we're going to add a category. Now, my categories here are going to be ice cream. Once I enter in my name, you do have the option to change the category color. The category color is going to be displayed on the point of sale. And also, if we do want to hide specific categories and all of the items assigned underneath that category, we can hide that from the online store. An example of this could be our alcohol. We may not want to sell alcoholic beverages online, so we can hide that from the store. Now, once I create this category, you can see that it opens up this option for subcategories. We'll go through this in another video, another explanation of how we can structure a menu. For right now, let's just put in our parent categories. So coming back to our category page, you can see I have just created my ice cream category. Now, let's start to create some items and assign those to that category. So to do that, I clicked on the items up at the very top, and I'm going to click on this option to create an item. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to name our ice cream. I have a chocolate ice cream, and I'm going to go ahead and assign that underneath my category for ice cream. Now, if I had a product description, I can go ahead and put this in here. But for right now, I just want to get our structure, our skeleton of our menu in, and then I can go in and adjust it. Some things that I may come and update are, some product images. Product images would be displayed either at the point of sale or on the online store. And I know me as a consumer, if I see a product image, I'm more likely to convert into a purchase and really get it into my cart. Now, once we have the name, the category in, let's go ahead and throw in our pricing. Today, I have my ice cream set at $4. But let's start to think about if an ice cream shop offers different options, different variants with this ice cream. How could we throw in that base price to this item based on their choice? So let's go in and click on variations. A variant really allows me to have different options with a base price that could differ. So here, ice cream option is what I'm going to call this. And let's say we have a cup, cone, and maybe a double scoop. Now, once I have named this variant set and also the names of those options, you're going to see my pricing structure change a little bit. Now it has my base price of $4. I can go ahead and assign that to different options here. And I know that's going to be my basic cup. Now, before I can add my next pricing, I want to make sure to change what this option shows. Now, this could be my cone option. Let's say that my cone is going to be $5.50. And last but not least, my double scoop is going to be that's silly, $8. Now, $8, here we go. We can throw in different variant pricings as my base price based on the customer's choice of ice cream options. And once we have that in, I'm going to go ahead and save this item. Now, once we've saved our item in, you're going to see that it has that gray bar at the top that shows me which category this item's assigned underneath. Also, if I click down on this drop down, it's going to show me my different ice creams and the base price that's assigned to that option. On top of this, one thing you're noticing from this menu page, specifically the items page, is this option to add a stock or inventory with this item. Even the different variations, we can put in a stock for each specific option available. Now, of course, I want to be as specific as possible because our stock here is really just a finished goods inventory. It allows you to track specific items, but not necessarily the variants that come into a whole. That would be recipe tracking, and we do have an integration on that. That will be, discussed in a different video. Today, we really want to dive into the menu creation. So I've just created one item, and I'm going to show you a little tip and trick here to really help you create the same item over and over and over again without having to go through the tedious process of creating the variant or selecting the variant pricing. And what I'm going to do here is click this copy button. Now, once I click on this copy button, you can see it duplicated all of my settings from the previous item, so that all I have to do here is change the title of the name. Title of this item. So I can go in here, put in my vanilla, and click save. What you're going to see is it completely duplicates everything. And since I just changed my name, it creates a brand new item for it. So one last item I'm going to throw in here is my cookie dough. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. So now that we have some items created for my ice cream, let's go in and talk about modifiers. Now, modifiers, as we briefly saw, it allows us to select an item, give it some additional options. And so those options might have an upcharge or specific rules that we'd want the customer to fill in before we send this to the kitchen. So let's create our first modifier set. To do this, I'm clicking on Add Set. Allows me to add a name for my modifier option. And for today, we're going to do toppings. Now, my toppings in my ice cream store might have sprinkles. It might have chocolate chips. It might also have some Oreo crumble. And last but not least, some chocolate syrup. Now, before I leave this page, you're seeing that I just added a title for these options, but also we can add in a base price for these items. Now, let's say each one of my extra toppings is going to be an additional 50 cents on top of my items menu. I can go ahead and enter that into this system. You also have an option to move it to a different station, add an option for people to put quantities of this modifier on. And at any point during operations, if we run out of any one of these options, we can 86 it or out of stock it from my POS, but also the online store. I'm going to go ahead and click save, but instead I'm going to take that extra step forward and say save and assign to items. Now, by assigning these items to my menu items, you can see now, once I'm in my items page and I click on any one of these menu items, you're seeing that my modifiers now have this option for toppings. Now, this is just scratching the surface of what we can do with these modifiers. We put in the base price for the modifier, but let's say for specific items, we might have an extra charge, or we might need to override the price of that modifier option. Well, to do so, we could do it at the item level. I can click on customize, and now it's giving me additional options, such as my required and my maximum modifiers. Your required and maximum modifiers, required is going to make a customer have a decision of one of these options. Our maximum really limits the customer to a max amount that they can choose. So here, I may not require my customers to put any type of toppings. So I'm going to leave this empty. And really, the customer can add as many modifiers as they want, because I know they're going to be charged the base price per quantity of this modifier choice. But in certain instances, we might need to override that base price, either increasing it, dropping it down to 0. We can even add the price included, which essentially means that whichever ice cream option this customer chooses, they could choose one of these modifier choices, and it's going to add that price, or the price is already included in the item. And then we can also do a pre-selected. Pre-selected essentially means that when a customer comes to this page, they might see this option already enabled, already chosen for them. An example of this might be, I know it's out of my ice cream shop, but a hamburger. Let's say our hamburger pre-selected has lettuce, tomatoes, onions, pickle. Those could be pre-selected, and then the customer can come in and turn them off at will. But here we are. That's just a little example of different ways that we can set up our modifiers and how we can change it per item. Now, I always recommend this to anyone creating a menu. Whenever you've finished adding an item in, check it out from your store. Now, we haven't added much images here, nothing really engaging for our customers, but it's a great baseline to come in, click into an item, and see how the customer experience feels. You can see they chose the cone, they chose these extra modifiers, maybe they want extra chocolate chip. So we can really get an idea of what the customer is going to be going through when visiting our online store, and also at the point of sale, how we can structure our menu for our employees. Just like that. So just a little test just to see how that works for us. Now, I'm going to add in a few different items here and show you a different way of structuring our menu. And for this, let's do our category. Let's name this our bakery items. Bakery, I'm going to go ahead and create that. Go into my items page. Let's create some bakery items, like maybe a cookie. Let's throw that under bakery. My cookie and all my bakery items are going to be set at $4. We're going to go ahead and save that. And using the trick I showed you before, I'm going to come in and start to copy this item. We're just going to change the name. Muffin, let's say this one's $5. Come in and copy my cookie, base price of 4. Let's put in a Danish. And last but not least, brownie. Let's say our brownies are $5. So real quickly, you saw how quick I added these extra items in. Now, I'm going to show you a different way that we can throw in a price for these items. Now, my muffins, I know I have a lot of different options here. And rather than throw them all as different variants with those, singular options, I'm going to add in and structure this a little bit differently. So instead of having the base price attached to my item, and I know this seems a little cautious, right? You don't want to have anything on your menu that's zero pricing, I'm going to show you a bit of a workaround. So right now my muffin starts at $0. Now that's just on the item level. Let's attach the price for this item onto the modifier instead. I'm going to call this our muffin choice. I'm going to say we have a blueberry, we have a poppy seed, we might have a chocolate, and a banana nut. So here are my options for my muffins. Now, instead of adding the price onto the item, I'm adding the price on the modifier. Now, as we come through here, you're going to see how I can change this for the customers. Let's say my poppy is $4, my chocolate's at $4.50, and my banana nut is at $5. I'm going to allow the customers to do a quantity of this so that when selecting a single muffin, they can do multiple options here. I'm going to go ahead and save and assign. And I know that this modifier only pertains to my muffin. So I'm going to select my muffin here and save it. Now, before I make this available to my online store, there's one important thing that I want to do with this modifier option. And it's on the item level when applying our modifier. I would want to customize this and throw in my required modifier of at least one. Maybe I don't have a maximum amount because we want them to choose multiple muffins at once. I'm going to go ahead and click done. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now let's check this out from the online store. Now our online store, one thing that you're going to note is that these items, these bakery items that say quick add, they don't have that required modifier. They don't have any type of required modifier on them. So this is why a customer is able to quickly add it to their cart. There's no extra description for this item that we might need to display to the kitchen. It's just simply a cookie. Whereas my muffin, if they click into it, before they can add this into their cart, they have to make some type of choice here. Let's say they want to add a blueberry muffin, a poppy seed muffin, and a banana muffin, maybe a quantity here, and add that to our cart. It requires them to make a selection before they can add it to their cart. So that's a real brief explanation of our menu, how we can create items. Of course, in other videos, we're going to go into more depth about further menu structure, subcategories, and submodifiers, how to add items onto it, and really create an engaging web store for your business. Thank you so much.